Take two. So as we all know, every single year, there's always new rookies that come into the NHL. Every single year. And there's always some ones that are pretty obvious to how good they're going to be. There are some who become surprisingly good. There are some who become surprisingly bad. And then there's ones that no one talks about. And we're going to be discussing a lot of rookies today, talking about the second episode in our trophy series for 2021, saying, who wins the Calder? 2021 edition. First off, if you're new to the channel and you haven't already subscribed, please make sure to go do so, as we just passed 800 subscribers. The actual growth of the channel has been just absolutely unreal over the past couple months, and I cannot wait to keep making more content. So yeah, make sure to keep subscribing, and let's get on with the Calder video. So basically, we're going to be running through, I think I have almost 15 different rookies between skaters and goaltenders. We're going to discuss them all, give them their own little stint, and then I'll talk about who I think will win it at the end of the video. So starting off here with the main leader for the points, and it is Kirill Kaprizov. 55 games played, 27 goals, 24 assists for 51 points. He leads in every column except for assists. And you know what? He's been very good for the Minnesota Wild. He's kind of made them, I guess, relevant again, to be entirely honest with you. Because there was really no one in Minnesota who was like, yeah, they're definitely a clear-cut, franchise. They're completely well-known across the entire NHL. I mean, I guess Zach Parise is probably the best-known guy on the Wild, but apart from that, there really isn't a player on that team who you say, oh yeah, he's from Minnesota. Kirill Kaprizov is that guy. He's been great all season. There's never been a point in, the entire amount of time that I've watched him play for the Wild this season where I said, yeah, he's not been very good. Now, one thing I don't like is people calling him Kirill the Thrill. That is Phil the Thrill. Not Kirill the Thrill. It's Phil the Thrill. That just makes me annoyed. The next guy here is Jason Robertson of the Dallas Stars. 51 games played, 17 goals, 28 assists for 45 points. He has been just a absolute... Sorry, I'm trying to take my socks off in the process. Has been absolutely a star forward for the Dallas Stars. And he kind of came out of nowhere, relatively, when you look at it. He came in as oh yeah, he's just kind of a guy on their fourth line. Not really a guy that was really going to be big on the depth charts. And you know what? He became that big guy. And I think, you know what? If he can keep this up into next season and the seasons after, maybe he can become a solid NHL player and actually get a good job. So yeah, I mean, Dallas didn't make the playoffs this season. Minnesota did, but playoffs don't count towards Calder. But I think that judging by that is actually pretty good, considering this team had a lot of struggles throughout everything. Screwed up schedules, losing by 1 goal. They lost by 1 goal, I think 10 or 11 times this season, which is kind of insane to say. So, and I think Jason Robertson will be a great player in the future. You just got to keep it up throughout the rest of his career. Next up, I have Jaegor Sharongovich, probably one of my favorite names and one of my favorite players on the New Jersey Devils. 54 games played, 16 goals, 14 assists for 45 points. He has been, I'll just say it, very, very solid for the Devils. Actually, wait, what? That's not the actual statistic. What? Actually got that wrong. I have no idea why it said 45. If I'm right, that is 30 points for Jaegor Sharongovich. He didn't get 45, not like Jason Robertson, but he got 30. And he was another guy that kind of came out of nowhere, too. No one really looked at him and was like, yeah, he's going to be a solid, insane, really good rookie. No one really saw that out of him. And you know what? He really proved us wrong for that. And I think, you know what? If he can keep it up into next season, I think he definitely can. Does he win the Calder? No, I put probably like 2 or 3 more guys over Sharongovich, although I like him. I wouldn't mind seeing him win the Calder. But I just don't see him as a Calder winner just judging by his points. But he is a great player, and if he can keep that up, he will get a solid NHL job. Next up is Josh Norris, Ottawa Senators forward. He came from the Erik Karlsson trade, and everyone looked at him and was like, yeah, this guy's going to be the next future, or one of the next big guys in the future for Ottawa. And you know what? No one's talking about him. That's kind of the amazing thing. No one in any place ever is talking about Josh Norris. I'm always seeing stuff about Kaprizov and Robertson. Those are the top guys I'm seeing stuff from. And even Vitek Vanacek. I see more things about him than Norris. 56 games played, 17 goals, 18 assists for 35 points. Just an above all great player for the Senators on especially a struggling team like Ottawa. I mean, this team came in here thinking like, yeah, we're not gonna make the playoffs. This is kind of just a way to exemplify and take word will come to me, and test out lines and see if they work the right way. And you know what? I think that Norris is fitting really good down that core. I think he's going to be a great player in the future. Another player for the Senators who was great, and no one's really talking about him too much, is Tim Stutzel. Third overall pick. I didn't expect him to be a solid, insanely good player, but you know what? He has been. 53 games played, 12 goals, 17 assists for 29 points. I remember for a while there, he just couldn't score. He just couldn't score. I was watching games and he had so many shots on net. Where he just had no goals at all. And you know what? He started picking it up at the end of the year, and so did the Senators. I think they finished fifth or something. They were fifth at points there, which was great. And I mean, I look at them and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty proud with what Norris and Stutzel have done. Do they win the Calder? Not necessarily. They haven't been as valuable, but I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Norris does get into that final 3 or final 2 or however you want to do it. Next up, I have Alexis Lafreniere. I'm not putting him in here because I think he's going to win the Calder. I just put a bunch of rookies in here who everyone was like, yeah, they have a chance at the Calder. And you know what? I relatively saw Lafreniere and him struggling coming. Because I need to make a video at some point where I need to talk about you can't just call players busts because there's so many more factors that roll into it that not even a lot of people are talking about. So the thing is, with Lafreniere, it's his first year. We can't expect him to go in there and score 100 points. Maybe the rare Ovechkin or the rare Crosby, that'll happen, but it's not very common. And we didn't see that with Rasmus Dahlin in 2018 either. I mean, he was better than Hughes and Lafreniere in their first years, but, nonetheless, yeah, you don't expect guys who go first overall to be immediate NHL impacts. It takes time. And like I said, the rare Ovechkin or the rare Kaprizov, the rare Kaprizov, they could be the guys who do it, but, it takes time. And people need to understand that. So 56 games played, 12 goals, 9 assists for 21 points for Lafreniere. He's been good. There was a bit there where he just couldn't score. I remember where he had so many shots and opportunities on net. He had a couple assists in there too, though. But yeah, at the beginning he was struggling, but at the end he started picking it up for the Rangers. And I think if he can bring that into next season, I think the Rangers will be a very dangerous team with him on the roster. All right, so now I have 4 more guys here. I have more people under them, but we have 4 more guys here, starting off with Kevin Lankin. Everyone was saying at the beginning, when Lankin went on that great run with Chicago, everyone was saying, oh yeah, Lankin should win the Calder. I was like, you need to wait until the end of the season, because he could fall off. And you know what? He kind of did. 37 games played, 17 wins, 14 losses, and 5 overtimes. And yes, we are talking about a goaltender here. Everyone was saying around the time where they were doing so well, he's going to win the Calder. I was like, you need to wait. You need to wait because he could fall off. And I was saying the same thing about Kaprizov and Robertson. And I was saying stuff about Lafreniere, like, well, he could pick up at the end of the year and be insane. We don't know. And you know what? With Lankin, no one's really talking about him for Calder now. But I think maybe in the future, after this, he will definitely get more of a role in a full NHL season. We'll see if this great goaltending that he had in this stretch here is a fluke or not. Next up, I have Trevor Zegras of the Anaheim Ducks. No, I don't have Jamie Drysdale in here because he didn't really make an impact as people thought he would, and I didn't think Zegras would either. 24 games played, 3 goals, 10 assists for 13 points. Again, he came in a bit late. He didn't start the season with the Ducks and go right on to the end. He was in the minors for a bit, played very well in the minors. Came up, played okay in the NHL, was back and down in the minors, and everything with that. But yeah, I think Trevor Zegras has been pretty good, relatively. I think he's had chances. He's in the games that I saw with him playing the Coyotes, he's played very well. And I mean, I watch every Coyotes game, so that's relevant. And I mean, this guy can, get scoring touch and bring the energy that he had in this season to the next season. We will see if maybe he becomes a top player on the Ducks. He should, though, because I really am looking forward to that future. Jeremy Schweman is the next guy for the Boston Bruins. Now, I just threw him in here because of the great stretch he had towards the end of the season. Do I think he wins the Calder or even comes close to the top 3? Not necessarily, but he still had a great enough season that I'm going to throw him in here. 10 games played, 7 wins and 3 losses. He's really kind of that backbone for the Boston Bruins, and I think he probably will be the backup next season, unless if Rask retires, he'll be the starter. But I think he will more than likely be the backup because I think Halak is done. I think Halak might be done for his career wise, and I don't think there's really any other team that is in Boston that would want to pick him up. To be entirely honest, I think his career is kind of winding down. He's just honestly done. So I think that Schweman will be the backup. But if Rask does retire, Schweman will be that starter, and then they'll bring up Vladar as their backup. So I think, that's a whole different topic. But Schweman, pretty good for the Boston Bruins. But then again, you got to consider, players will find their weaknesses at some point. So we'll cough this up as just great. It's awesome, but I'm not really too sure here. Next up, and before I have to cut off and get the other last 2 or so names, P.S. Suter. This guy, I had no idea who this guy was before. Excuse me. I had no idea who P.S. Suter was. I remember when he scored his first NHL goal, I'm like, who is this guy? And look what he did in the NHL with the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, then again, it could be a fluke. We could be saying that with Kaprizov or anyone right now. But this looks pretty good for Chicago. 55 games played, 14 goals, 13 assists for 27 points. He's been extremely good for the Blackhawks. And I think if he can carry this into the next couple of years, maybe that rebuild doesn't last as long as it would. Do I think he wins the Calder, though? Not really. No. I think he'll get definitely an honorable mention. Some people might vote for him. But I don't think that, I put a lot of other guys over P.S. Suter. Although he has been just extraordinary for a player who was really not even looking like that much at the beginning of the season. So I have 2 names left here, and they are Nils Hoglander as the first name and Vitek Vanacek as the last name. Caps fans, I didn't forget. We'll start off with Nils Hoglander. 55 games played, 13 goals, 14 assists for 27 points. He came in there expected to be a guy not a Calder guy, but still a pretty good guy. You know what? He kind of has been. He went on in stretches where he was a little bit of an unknown in that roster. When I saw he played 55 games, I got actually kind of surprised because, of how he's been. And I mean, his roster can still go up because the Canucks have one last game against the Flames, which I think in fact started 20 minutes ago. So he could very well have more points right now than he does here. But nonetheless, Hoglander has been good. And I think for a team who went through a lot of problems throughout this entire season, I think Hoglander has been relatively and extremely good for them. And I think that's one of the bright spots. If you're a Canucks fan going into the dark ages, I mean, you kind of were already there. But anyways, yeah. Vitek Vanacek is the last guy here for the Washington Capitals. I figured Caps fans would go down below and be like, you're mentioning Schweman and Lankin, and where's Vanacek? Yeah, Vanacek was another one of those guys where it was like, well, I don't really know. But you know what? Vanacek came in where, they had only Samsonov as their starter, and they got Lundqvist, but then Lundqvist back out due to the heart issues. And then they signed Craig Anderson, which, look what he's doing in the playoffs. Nominated him for Hobie Baker. Hobie, what? Ignore what I just said. But anyways, you had Anderson coming in where it was like, he was really kind of just a emergency plan for the Caps. Does he come back after the season? Probably not. I think he's done after this season. More than likely, I don't know if he gets another NHL job. But maybe with these playoffs, who knows? But, Vanacek came in as like one of those guys off the depth charts. And he played very well. 37 games played, 21 wins, 10 losses, and 4 overtimes. He's been pretty good for the Capitals. And I mean, he got injured in the playoffs, and with Samsonov out too, that's kind of screwing the Capitals over. But yeah, nonetheless, Vanacek has been very good for the Caps, and I think if he can carry this into the next season and not be like Jordan Binnington, although Binnington's been good, he hasn't been Binnington. I think this could be, I think you might not have to worry about anything if you're a Caps fan. So yeah, who do I think is going to win it? I'm just like everyone else, and I'm going to pick Kirill Kaprizov. But I think the final 2 guys will likely come down to Robertson, definitely. Robertson and Kaprizov are the top 2 guys. And then you could argue a couple guys for third. You could argue Norris. You could argue Vanacek. You could argue either of those 2. So let me know who you guys think can win the Calder down below. I think it'll probably be Kaprizov. If it goes to Robertson, though, I wouldn't be too surprised. And even if it goes to Vanacek, I wouldn't be surprised either. So yeah, let me know your thoughts below, and let me know if I missed any rookies. I know I missed a couple. I didn't look through any lists or nothing. I just pretty much thought of all the names off the top of my head. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and for all your support. Please go down below and subscribe if you're new. We've already gained a lot of ground on 800 subscribers, so I thank you all very much for that. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.